They tell a story enabled digitally about what is essentially a very, very analog world. Tradition and technology combining. I get a lot of inspiration from around the world, including in New Zealand. And a brand that I'm close to is a brand called Icebreaker that I love using when I go into the cold depths of Sweden to snowboard or go skiing, for example. They're a textiles brand. They rely on great New Zealand farmers and merino sheep. They were seeing the same sort of customer habits enabled by technology, where people were going into stores, scanning barcodes, and then buying offline or buying other brands. And they thought, how do we utilize this new technologically enabled behavior and actually drive brand values across the entire supply chain, all the way from farm, not to table, but from farm or producer to consumer. And they thought, why don't we create our own barcode that the Kiwis cleverly called barcode. So this is what they did. They created a barcode. So now when you go into a shop, you simply scan that barcode, and all of a sudden the whole supply chain becomes, well, let's call it sexy. All the way from animal welfare to cleaning, yarn, fabric, and sewing, all the way to telling a digital story about the geocontextual New Zealand farms where the textiles in your underpants come from, meaning that your underpants are telling a new kind of digital story. But we also get to connect in at the hyper-local level to be introduced to the farmers, much like Hungry Jack's here in Australia does when you connect us to the farmers who produce hormone-free beef. And this is what's needed in a world where you guys are thinking about how to respond to new threats and opportunities, where new bok bots are able to handle a booking in a restaurant much more simply than a human. Where in Japan and China, increasingly, they no longer employ humans in some restaurants. Instead, they have bots bringing you your food. And where at Stanford University, they're now commercialized a vegetarian beef patty that tastes just like meat. It's a wacky world out there, isn't it?